Hi, my name's Nick, and welcome to episode 4 of Need More Vocals. Today, I have someone who has been a steward, I think it is, of the Wellington music industry for a wee while, Simon Gotlieb. Welcome, Simon, and tell us about yourself, tell us about your history and what you're doing now.
Thanks. Well, I'm 58 going on 59. I've been in bands since I was 12 years old. So had my first band gig at 14 years old in Palmerston North at Snail Clamps, supporting the Skeptics. And a few other gigs since then, quite a few other gigs since then. I've been in probably at least a dozen bands since then. And yeah, still doing it at 58. I'm playing in 3 bands now. So I have a full-time job because no one makes money out of music in this country. And I have 3 bands. I have a punk rock band, a hard rock band, and a tribute band. And as a side, I repair guitar amplifiers for musicians as well. So that all keeps me pretty busy.
Simon has helped me out many a time with guitar amps. So if you're watching this and you need something, maybe next year, because he's always busy, Bogan Boutique. So this interview series is all about the problems that we have in the New Zealand music industry. No industry has got sort of no problems. So us as musicians, I'm speaking to managers, marketers, anyone that is involved in the industry. So we've sort of split there was one big question posed, and it was, what is the biggest social, political, economic problem? But what I've done is sort of split this up into 3 smaller questions. Yep. So the first one is, what do you think, in your opinion, is the biggest social problem in the New Zealand music industry currently?
I think the biggest social problem is the cultural cringe, which is still there amongst New Zealanders. Punters just won't take a chance on a band until they've gotten famous somewhere else. And then as New Zealanders, we'll flock to accept them. So if someone gets successful over in Australia, all of a sudden we're like, no, they're Kiwis. We'll take that, we'll take them, we'll claim them, and we'll all go to see their gigs. And very often, until the band has gotten big somewhere else, no one wants to know. Kiwis we're not good at going out and seeing bands, not in the big numbers that we used to. I don't know. Could be the economic times at the moment, could be that there's simply so many other things on, but we're not seeing punters at live gigs as much as we used to. And live bands just don't seem to be as much on people's radar as they used to. I think that's the biggest.
And when you say used to, do you mean from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
80s mainly. In the 80s, okay. The scene was so much bigger. In the 90s as well, we got a big resurgence. We got some bands like in Wellington, like Shihad and Weta and Breathe. Those 3 bands did a lot to bring punters back to seeing live bands, but we haven't really got any bands of that kind of size anymore in Wellington that are pulling a lot of punters.
Right. And Head Like a Hole, I'm assuming.
Yep, head like a hole. Yeah.
Yeah. And then following on from that, what do you think is the biggest political problem that we have currently? Well, this is 2025 when this interview is taking place. So it is a right-wing government and traditionally they don't usually sort of fund the arts. What do you think is the political art?
I compare what's happening in this country with support of the arts with what's just been announced in Ireland, where they've announced a artist support scheme where artists of all sorts of persuasions are being paid a stipend, $650, I think they mentioned it was. I don't know which dollars they were, but basically enough to subsist on, so you can actually do your art. They're supporting art a lot more in Ireland than they are here. In this country, there is almost no support for New Zealand music and other arts unless you are recognized overseas. It's the same old cultural cringe thing again. We're not willing to take a punt on stuff until someone else recognizes it. So
Yeah.
that's reflected in the support that musicians get here. I looked at New Zealand On Air funding for videos and things like that, and I'm sure you've done the same too, and seeing some of the requirements are very, very difficult for a local band to try and make some headway. You've got to do a lot of stuff yourself, and then it's only once you're actually recognized that you'll get support.
They've just upped the limits at the time of this interview. They've just upped the limits of basically everything too. So it used to be 1,000 social media followers, now it's 2,000, and things like that. So it's just got a little bit more harder for up and coming musicians to get funding from New Zealand On Air. And the funny thing is,
not surprising under a right-wing government to have the goalposts moved for the arts.
Yes. Yeah. So both of those problems that you've already mentioned have been mentioned in episode 2 and episode 3 of this interview series. So I think there's a common thing. Yeah. So following on from that, politics aside, what do you think is the biggest economic problem for New Zealand music industry? So we're obviously in the corner of the world. It's very hard to travel. There's inflation. There's all sorts of things. What do you think is the biggest economic problem, though?
There's just not enough people supporting the arts. So there's not enough money to go around. You don't make enough money at gigs. You not very often will you make enough money to you won't make a living by gigging. Occasionally you'll get enough to maybe put together for a recording. But in terms of supporting yourself with your life so you can do stuff, you've got to have a job.
Yep. And some of us are trying to get jobs within the industry, and even then that's hard. And
it's a complete economy if you're working within the industry, and you have no idea from week to week how much money you're going to get.
Yeah, exactly. All right,
you got to with that kind of income, and the bank's going to laugh at you.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, so, and the last question, I'll pose this to everyone. You are made King of New Zealand. Tomorrow, you have a royal decree. No one can question your decree. You can change one thing about the New Zealand music industry tomorrow. What would you do?
Support for musicians in a similar way to what Ireland has just announced.
So it's sort of like a UBI, right?
Like a UBI for musicians, yeah. Bring in a UBI for musicians and other artists.
How much should it be?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not an economist. I'm I don't even know how to manage my own money. So, I don't know. I think probably $1,000 a week would be a good start.
Cool. I'll pitch it to the government. I'll take $1,000 a week all the time.
Well, would that make a difference for you? $1,000 a week.
Yep.
Would it allow you to pursue your musical career without worrying too much about how you're going to pay the bills?
Yep. And it would mean that, I think with the UBI, it should be not staggered, but the amount comes down as you earn more. So say you become, you're a start-off musician, and then, you get that $1,000 a week, and then you get to a 660 level where you're earning, 6 figures from your music career. You probably don't need the $1,000 a week anymore. Once you've sort of made that large level, you're making 6 figures every year. So I think I agree, as long as it's what's the word for it? It's not staggered, but balanced.
Means tested.
Means tested. Yep, definitely. Yep. And yeah, I don't know how Ireland's doing it with proving you're a musician. Do we just pick up a guitar and any old person can just pick up a guitar and do it, or are they you got to be doing so many gigs? Or
Honestly, I've seen one thing in the news that I glimpsed at the headline, and a few people talking about it on Facebook. It's also new that I haven't looked into what's actually going on there. I like the idea.
I like the idea too. It would be great. All right. Thank you very much, Simon, for being a part of this. And tune in for the next episode. Thank you again.
Cool. Cheers, guys.